Every single day, unknowing travelers lose millions to sneaky fees, bad exchange rates, and overpriced services. Whether it's at the airport or beyond, most people don't even realize they're being ripped off. But today, that changes. At least for you. I've traveled to nearly 80 countries now, and this is all stuff that I've learned through trial and the occasional error. I mean, number 2 can mean saving hundreds of dollars with just a few minutes of preparation. And hack number 5 can mean the difference between a trip leading you into bankruptcy or leaving you enough money to plan another a month later. So in this video, I'll show you how to keep more money in your pocket with 5 little known but very effective travel hacks. Let's just face it. Money is hands down the thing you'll need most when traveling. But what if I told you you could lose $500 before even leaving the airport? Well, one of the biggest mistakes travelers make every single day is exchanging money at the airport. The worst exchange rates and highest fees are conveniently waiting for you there. I've even seen exchange kiosks in airports giving less than half of the going exchange rate. If you were to exchange $1,000 in cash at an airport kiosk, you could actually end up losing over $500 in the process. Just imagine what 500 bucks could get you. Whatever it is, I'm pretty sure you want to keep your $500. So, what's the best way to get cash? Well, in most of the world, it's going to be an ATM. But not all ATMs are the same. Before even traveling, always know what fees your bank charges for international withdrawals. You could be looking at paying an extra 3% or 5% or even more. But some banks, like Charles Schwab in the US, reimburse all ATM fees and don't charge a foreign transaction fee. The sneakiest trap here, however, can be found in some ATMs. It's called dynamic currency conversion. All this means is the ATM exchanges the currency of your transaction to the currency of your bank card. That actually sounds convenient, right? Except it means you get a terrible exchange rate, which can mean losing as much as 20% or even 30% of the value of your transaction. So if the ATM asks you if you want to pay in your home currency, the answer is no. But if you avoid dynamic currency conversion and know what you're getting from your bank, then an ATM is almost always the way to go. Still, in rare cases, using an ATM might not give you as good of a deal as exchanging cold hard cash at a trustworthy exchange place outside of the airport. This simply isn't the case in most of the world. But some countries such as Argentina or Algeria have official exchange rates that are significantly worse than the unofficial exchange rate. The details vary a lot from place to place, but you can usually find the basics of how to get the unofficial exchange rate online. On my last visit to Argentina, it was as simple as walking into almost any business to exchange US dollars to Argentinian pesos. I even found that mainstream transfer services such as Western Union were offering the unofficial exchange rate. But so far we have only talked about cash. Of course, in countries where cash is king, it's going to be extra important considering most or even all of your spending will be in cash. But cash can be an inconvenient way to pay for things. And using cash can lead to all kinds of potential problems. A ripped bill can just mean that bill will never be accepted anywhere. And if you happen to lose or get large amounts of cash stolen, that can put a huge dent in your trip. Plus, if you don't want to be stuck with currency when leaving a country, that means you have to calculate your purchases down to a T. Even then, you'll usually be stuck with a few coins no matter how good at planning you are. And you might enjoy collecting coins and bills from around the world, but did you know? It's actually illegal to remove cash from a number of countries. Just take Tunisia, for example. The import and export of Tunisian dinar is strictly prohibited. At minimum, if it's revealed that you break the rules, the authorities will definitely take away your money. I'd guess there's probably been a few incidents considering the US Embassy has a special page on their website about this. But in countries where cards are widely accepted, the best solution is to use a card with no foreign transaction fees. There's something else to watch out for too when it comes to spending, and we'll go over that in a later section of the video. So, you've figured out how to get the best exchange rate and avoid unnecessary fees. But what about everything else? These days, just about everything can be found on your smartphone, but only if it's connected. A few years ago, being connected abroad often meant paying terribly high prices for service in another country from your home provider, or potentially tracking down and purchasing a local SIM card. So you either ended up wasting a lot of time, money, or if you were really lucky, both. In fact, staying connected while traveling used to be so expensive that many travelers would just travel without cell phone service at all. But things have been changing rapidly, and there's now a much better option, an eSIM. Which brings us to Sally, a great eSIM provider and the sponsor of today's video. Instead of taking out a mortgage for roaming charges or tracking down the only pricey SIM card left in the city, now it's as easy as setting up a Sally eSIM on your smartphone in a matter of seconds. You just install the Sally app on your phone, find the plan you need for your trip, and install the eSIM. And you can do it all on a local network before traveling. So with a Sally eSIM, you're ready for your trip before even starting it. That's quite the travel hack. Need an Uber or equivalent from the airport when you arrive? No more searching for spotty Wi-Fi or getting ripped off by choosing the wrong kind of taxi. With your Saily eSIM, you can be connected from the second you arrive to a new country. In fact, just last week, I was in Tunisia and I used a Saily eSIM to stay connected the whole time. Thanks to Saily, getting around was a breeze and I never even had to worry about negotiating a taxi fare. Plus, when I needed to find the best restaurant around, check closing or opening times, or even look up how to pronounce an Arabic word, I could. I mean, Saily offers coverage in over 190 countries and 8 regions, which means that I'm pretty much covered anywhere I go with a Saily eSIM. And the prices are already great, but today they're even better. Saily is currently offering you an extra 15% off when you scan the QR code and enter my code DavidG at checkout. So with your new Saily eSIM, you can finally plan to have an affordable and functional cell connection. I really don't see how anyone can travel anymore without it, to be honest. But beyond connectivity, there are still some things to consider when it comes to planning for a trip. Having that connection really is essential. From transport apps to quick travel research, it will come in handy every single day. But data is limited to the amount you purchase. And nobody really wants to spend their trip sitting around doing stuff they could have done beforehand to prepare better. So even if I know I'm only traveling to an urban area and I'll most likely have reliable cell connection the whole time, I always spend a little time preparing in Google Maps before my trip. Google Maps is a pretty integral part of how I travel in most countries just because it's got so many unique and useful features. First off, I always download local offline maps for everywhere I'll be visiting. If nothing else, this saves me data by not having to reload the map each time I open my phone. And then I take places people have recommended to me, anywhere that I know I'll just want to visit, where I'll be staying, and mark those on the map. Well, and then I do usually end up spending another 30 minutes or so marking dozens of restaurants on the map, but you can definitely skip that part. I also spend some time setting up a translation app with the local language. Again, Google has one of the better options here in terms of translation apps, Google Translate. Basically, I just end up downloading any language I might need to use for offline use. It's the same story as with Google Maps, really. If I already have what I need downloaded, I don't have to waste any data, and it's just easier on the go. Plus, I usually try to have a few videos available offline for flights and stuff. If you're into Netflix, you can download content to watch offline in their app. One other important step that I always spend some time on is to just make sure that I have any important documents or info stored somewhere as a backup. This means my passport, any visas, reservations, and insurance info are all digitalized and stored somewhere safe. I usually go an extra step and physically write down any important addresses and booking references or other important stuff like that somewhere as a second backup. These extra layers of easy preparation can mean the difference between a smooth trip or a stressful nightmare if something goes wrong. Say your phone dies, you lose your bag, or whatever else could happen. Having offline access to key information can save you a ton of hassle. Another thing every traveler deals with yet nobody talks about is financial literacy when it comes to travel. One of the biggest mistakes travelers make is not keeping track of their spending in real time. And it's even easier to lose track if you're using a mixture of cash and cards for payment. But there's a simple way to stay in control and avoid unnecessary financial surprises while traveling. Every time you make any purchase, just take 10 seconds to add it to a Google Sheet or Excel file on your phone. That's it. No fancy budgeting apps, no complicated calculations. Just a quick note of what you spent and where. This tiny habit ensures that you'll always know exactly how much you've spent. Getting a bad exchange rate at the airport or paying too much for a taxi ride sucks. It's frustrating. But the biggest financial danger of travel isn't small fees like that. It's overspending without realizing it. The last thing you want is to come home and realize you've racked up thousands in unexpected costs. Or worse, gone into high-interest debt for a trip that was supposed to be enjoyable. Because let's be real, going into debt to travel is not a good option ever. Certain industries thrive on hidden fees, interest charges, and sneaky pricing tricks. And when you don't pay attention, they'll get you. Well, at least they'll get your wallet. It's free money to them. But to you, it could mean keeping more money for what actually matters. Better experiences, perhaps better food, and maybe even another trip. But surprise travel costs don't end with keeping track of your spending. Across the travel industry, there are a lot of costs that can just be easily avoided if you know what you're looking for. When it comes to airlines, the first thing to consider is what the real cost of the flight will be. There's obvious costs like getting to and from the airport. I'm not talking about those. Say you're booking yourself a ticket on a low-cost airline such as Ryanair or Spirit. You must consider that every little thing on those kinds of airlines is charged. So a $20 or €20 ticket might sound nice, but can you really manage 2 weeks somewhere with only a small backpack? If not, maybe it's another $40 or $60 just to bring your full-size carry-on bag on board. Want a paper ticket printed? That's not free either. But in reality, it's not just the budget airlines that are up to these kinds of customer unfriendly practices. Maybe you're looking at some transatlantic flights for like $300 round trip on United or Lufthansa. But that low price you're looking at is for a basic economy or economy light ticket. So stuff like checked baggage or seat selection is not included. Maybe you're traveling light and ending up stuck in a middle seat for 8 hours is fine with you. But if not, you'll have to choose between paying for some extras or paying a bit more for a regular economy ticket. And once you think you've got your flights all figured out, you get to the booking page. It turns out both Ryanair and Lufthansa, among many other airlines, are charging a fee to pay with a credit card. But it's not just airlines charging unwanted fees like this. Hotels play what we could call a similar game. More and more hotels around the world are charging what they like to call resort fees or experience fees. If you ask me what a proper name for them would be, it would be hidden fee. It does depend a lot on where you're searching for a hotel in the world, but often you'll see a nice hotel with what seems like a low nightly rate. But perhaps somewhere in small print or as you go along with the booking process, you'll see a resort fee listed out. Maybe $30, $40, or even $50 a night. My opinion is that you should really just try to avoid any hotel that's charging that kind of fee. It's really a completely anti-customer money grab. That's all it is in essence. But sometimes in some places you might just not have any better options. If you book yourself in a hotel or resort with one of these fees, there is possibly a way to get out of paying the fee. Hotels will usually have a list of the supposed services that are included in that extra fee that you're paying. A lot of the time, none of the services listed are something that I actually need to use. And other times, I've even found services listed that don't actually exist or are already a benefit of staying at that hotel in general. So in any of those kinds of cases, you would absolutely be in the right to request not to have to pay that extra fee. But another popular way to stay these days are home rental apps such as Vrbo or Airbnb, which also happen to have some insane fees. Say you need a place to stay for a week in Miami over spring break. Well, the very first option that pops up on Airbnb looks okay. $80 a night in Miami would be decent. But let's take a look at the price breakdown. A $175 cleaning fee? A $123 Airbnb service fee? And on top of that, you've got nearly $100 in taxes to add in. So just the first two absurd fees would amount to $298 extra that you'd have to pay. It's simply always going to be worth your time to double check price breakdowns and verify the total before paying for anything to do with travel. If you happen to notice a fishy fee driving up the price, there are so many competing travel websites out there, you can probably book it elsewhere for cheaper. And on the topic of where to find better travel deals, whether it's flight, hotel, rental car, or something else, I've got a whole selection of videos for you. But thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one.